Okay, folks, well, we're going to be talking about uh, Mr. Cuomo, our lovely Governor Cuomo. And sometimes I don't know who's more of a jackass, Governor Chris Christie or Governor Cuomo. Yeah, Christie sat on the beach laughing at us while the state parks were closed due to a government shutdown. But in a way, this is worse and more sneaky. Governor Cuomo, despite saying he supports the environment, decided to veto a bill expanding the Pine Barrens area. And I'm going to read you the article right now about this because Governor Cuomo, I am not surprised, to be frank with you. You've shown time and time again to be the hugest hypocrite on this planet when it comes to saying one thing and then doing completely something else. And when it comes to supporting the environment, Mr. Cuomo has fallen short on this. So this is the article. I'm going to read it to you. Governor Andrew M. Cuomo has vetoed a bill that would have expanded Long Island's Pine Barrens area, citing the lack of public hearings and potential to block a solar energy proposal in Suffolk County. I am dedicated to preserving the Long Island Pine Barrens and other open space on Long Island. However, this bill, which passed without any public hearings or notice to landowners, is not the appropriate avenue to accomplish this worthy goal, the governor said in a veto message released Tuesday. It unnecessarily puts land preservation against renewable energy, both of which are necessary to preserve the state's environment and natural resources for future generations. This measure, approved by the state legislature in June, would have expanded the core Pine Barrens designation to more than 1,000 acres in Shoreham and Mastic in Suffolk County. It would have shielded those lands from development, but it would have also scuttled an energy company's proposal to use some of the acreage to install thousands of solar panels to supply the state's energy grid. Cuomo said that his administration sought to negotiate an amendment for the bill that included taking tracts out of the bill and adding land elsewhere, swapping land with private landowners, and other options, but talks failed. Unfortunately, a negotiated resolution proved unworkable, the governor said. He also added that his staff will continue talks with local groups and lawmakers to find a middle ground. Assemblyman Steve Engelbright, one of the primary sponsors of the bill, vowed that lawmakers will take another stab at expanding the Pine Barrens in a new bill in 2018. It is really disappointing, said Engelbright, said of Cuomo's veto, but we plan on revisiting this issue. Environmental groups that supported the bill said the town of Brookhaven had offered to swap 75 or so acres that Middle Island Solar, the company looking to build an array of solar panels in Suffolk County, could build on a new site while allowing the Pine Barrens expansion. The Long Island Pine Barrens Society and more than a dozen environmental and civic groups wrote to Cuomo asking him to sign this bill. In contrast, the New York League of Conservation voters applauded the veto. Preservation and renewable energy should not be pitted against each other, and we were greatly concerned by this legislation that would have done just that, said NYCLV President Marcia Burstrin. All right, so that's the article, and I think it's ridiculous because you're not pitting land preservation against. What you have is a developer looking to make a profit off of his land, and just like the other proposals that we've had here, we have such a shortage of our Pine Barrens as it is, and here we had this project in Mastic. We still have plans at EPCAL that we're not clear on yet. That developer that got rejected from the East Quogue, I'm sure he's going to fight. Then we have the Heartland Town Square proposal on Pilgrim, and then we also have the what is it called, Islip Pines. I haven't heard too much about that one, but we have all these plans for development still, and I think since we've lost so much of our Pine Barrens, and yes, Mr. Rosenberg, if the land has pitch pines on it, it is Pine Barrens, all right? Especially when it's an undisturbed forest, which your property is, all right? So that is property that needs to be protected, and I'm going to keep talking about and calling for its preservation, all right? There is a real problem here on Long Island with we have way too much development already, and we say that's enough, and this is why I think that we need a bill, but of course our governor will never support such a bill. This bill didn't even go far enough, all right? I think it should have called for the preservation of any area of Pine Barrens, and Pine Barrens is defined as land where pitch pines are the dominant canopy. Any land where pitch pines are the dominant canopy of more than 5 acres shall not be disturbed. That shall not be allowed to be disturbed or built upon. And that should be a law that would stop a lot of these developments. But of course, the developers are in Governor Cuomo's pocket. Both houses of our legislature unanimously approved this bill. And Governor Cuomo, very much like Governor Christie, but in a much more sneaky way, said, screw you. I'm the governor. I don't care what you think. I'm going to veto this. And that's what he did. You know, and in a way, it's a lot worse than what Governor Christie did sitting on the beach in New Jersey that day when the parks were closed. All right, because this is, now Christie has done some pretty shady things too, but let me tell you, I think Cuomo is worse because he's sneaky. He's sneaky, and you got to remember, when you have friends like Ed Mangano, you know what he is up to. So we're going to take a look at some of the clips from of Mr. Rosenberg here speaking on a local TV show called Exit 1055, and I will be back to talk, to show you the areas that we're talking about here, and the fact that Mr. Rosenberg is being an absolute hypocrite when it comes to, if he protects the environment, then he should know that the Pine Barrens need to be alone. And yes, Mr. Rosenberg, your land is Pine Barrens, not because there's just trees growing on it, but because pitch pines are the dominant canopy. That makes it Pine Barrens.
Well, the measure would add 1,000 acres, some in Shoreham, some in Mastic, to the Pine Barrens Reserve. The Pine Barrens sits atop our purest drinking water supply, boasts the greatest diversity of plant and animal species, and as you know, we've got water quality problems looming, all these problems that we're getting with nitrogen from wastewater and things that are contaminating the water. So we need to keep open spaces where that water can recharge the aquifer with pure fresh water, the purest water, I must tell you, in the state of New York. Yeah. I think solar should be built on rooftops and parking lots and land that's been previously cleared, and the town of Brookhaven has proposed the portion of a closed landfill, and people around the country are doing that. They're putting the solar there because that's about all you can put on a landfill, but that's sort of where it belongs. Then we can keep our forests intact. That all of Long Island's water comes from a sole source aquifer beneath our feet, and what our activity is on the surface defines how clean or dirty that water is. All right, that you have to cut down the trees to do solar is like saying you have to destroy the environment in order to save it. It's just sort of I want to look at it. You can't see the forest for the sun. An issue on his part. A lot of people have given up their land and been paid full market value for it in order to preserve the land, but in this particular case, no problem. Let's just take it out of the Pine Barrens area, out of the woodlands, and put it in an area that's already been cleared. Same benefit for solar, better benefit for water quality.
Land swap, have them do it somewhere else?
Exactly right.
When he says, I'm going to develop that 60 acres, I'm going to take carbon dioxide out of the atmosphere by putting up a solar array. I'm an environmentalist too, and I'm not going to go for a deal that takes away my rights to develop my land.
Environmentalists don't cut down trees, Richard.
Did you say 6 years you've been at this?
6 years. I've owned the property for over 30 years.
It's your land.
It's my land.
And right now there are no legal requirements that you do anything but do whatever you want with that land as long as it's within the zoning requirements of the town?
It's a light industrial parcel that I could do anything with, actually. Right. I could build factories there.
And now you have the Long Island Pine Barrens Society saying, no way, we don't want your solar farm there. It's not environmental because you're cutting down trees. And in fact, they've gotten a state lawmaker to get legislation passed that was approved by both houses of the state legislature, and is now sitting with the governor to make your land part of the Pine Barrens.
Well, you had Dick Ampert on the phone on the show last week.
Head of the Pine Barrens Society.
As far as Dick Ampert is concerned, everything is in the Pine Barrens. My property is not in the Pine Barrens.
It's not currently.
Has never been. I found out his definition because I called him, and his definition of being in the Pine Barrens is if you have trees on your property in Long Island, you're in the Pine Barrens.
Well, that would take a lot of people into account then.
I think so. We, on the other hand, we're a mile away from the core of the Pine Barrens. So we don't even qualify from that standpoint. Well, let's go back to why I did this thing.
Okay.
I did it to be conscious with the property and to do it for the community. on a couple of different levels.
Because you consider yourself an environmentalist.
I am an environmentalist.
Right.
It's not, no matter what Dick Gampert says, right? If you cut down a tree, that doesn't mean you're not an environmentalist.
And you
All right, we are going to look at the areas that would have been protected by this Pine Barrens expansion bill. And we'll start first with this area here in Shoreham, all right? And this is land that is owned by LIPA and National Grid and PSEG Long Island. I don't know exactly who owns it, but basically what it is it was part of a buffer zone for Shoreham, the Shoreham nuclear power plant. All right, so more or less this whole area right here, right? The Shoreham nuclear power plant, when it was built, is right over here, right? That's where it is, all right? But it's not operational. Never went online, and now it's just closed. All right, so what was proposed a while ago and what is now no longer in effect, and what has been stopped, is they wanted to knock down a lot of these woods here, over here, to build a solar energy plant. Now, I like solar energy, I support it, but when you're knocking down trees to put in solar panels, that's completely counterproductive. So what we are looking at here is this area here, which is mostly upland woods, but there are some pine barrens here too as well. This is a nice, pretty vast area of woods here. You can see here's some pitch pines here. You see some dark green. So there are pitch pines on the property, and there might be some over, yeah, there's some over here too, I can see. So there are some pitch pines on the property, and this would really make a great state park or a DEC management area. And this is the area that, fortunately, this project was rejected. So I think this area is safe regardless. I think it's safe from development. I think National Grid technically owns the property because National Grid owns the power plants. So I think that would be National Grid who would own it. But this should be turned into a park or something. All right, that's the bottom line. All right. The other area that I'm more concerned about is further down in Mastic. I called it Shirley, but it's really Mastic. Believe it or not, it's considered Mastic over there. So make our way over there, which is right here. All right, Brookhaven Airport is over here. All right, so we'll go here. And the area, I'll switch to the political map. The area is right here, between Route 27 and Mauritius Middle Island Road, Weeks Avenue. And the developer claims that, well, my land is not in the Pine Barrens. It's not in the Pine Barrens. No, it's not in the Pine Barrens. But it is in the Pine Barrens, and it is Pine Barrens. This is what he doesn't understand. He wants to basically knock 60 acres down to this, maybe more, to put in a solar energy thing. And he claimed, as you heard, that he's trying to care about the environment, that he cares about the environment. That's why he wants to build a solar farm and create alternative energy. We've got to stop. He even had trouble there coming up with the name global warming for a minute, but he claims he wants to stop global warming. But what he doesn't understand is cutting down trees is bad for the environment, especially when they're pine barrens, especially when we've lost so much of our pine barrens already. We only have 100,000 acres of the Pine Barrens on Long Island, which isn't that much, all right? And I think that we should add to that to protect it. And he claims, well, he said, the core preservation area is a mile away from where I am. Well, that's still close enough. And this is a large piece of property. And you can see it's all Pine Barrens. You see all this green. These are pitch pines, all right? And Pine Barrens are forests that have a the predominance of pitch pine in the canopy. So these are Pine Barrens. So he's full of it when he says they're not Pine Barrens. So what he wants to do basically is put this solar farm here, and we're going to take a look now at what it looks like from the street view. Here you go. That's what it looks like from the street view. Pine Barrens. He says it's not Pine Barrens. Excuse me. It is Pine Barrens. Actually, this side might be his property, but it's Pine Barrens. I can zoom out. Yeah, I can zoom out. It's Pine Barrens. All right, so don't tell me it's not Pine Barrens. Look at how beautiful it is here. Now imagine all this knocked down. Look at all the foliage, too, by the way, from the oaks, in addition to the pines. Now imagine all of this knocked down and cleared. Now think of all the carbon the trees take out of the air, all right? you're knocking down all these trees to put in solar panels. And so what Cuomo did, this is a beautiful stretch of road, by the way. It's beautiful. Look at this, just beautiful scenery here that we have here along this road. All right, and this could be lost. This could be lost. Don't we have enough development projects already? And yet Cuomo doesn't support adding this to the Pine Barrens. And this was passed unanimously by almost every single legislator in our state legislature. And Cuomo basically said, we don't care. We don't care. He cares more about Mr. Rosengarten, who happens to be a very wealthy man, from what I understand, a very wealthy landowner, who obviously influenced the governor in some way, totally against the will of the people. So this is what we stand to lose here. The land on the left here is what we stand to lose if he gets away with building this. But let's hope we can stop. And actually, it looks like there's some trails in here. So yeah, I may wind up taking a little walk here myself and seeing what we could lose, because this is beautiful here. All right, if he really wants to protect the environment, if Cuomo really wants to protect the environment, Mr. Cuomo, I'll show you where you can put solar panels. There are plenty of places to put them. We don't have to knock down the woods. I'll show you where we can put them, and put them on state land too. Okay, Mr. Cuomo. So here's where you can put. Here is where you can put solar panels. All right. State has huge parking lots at our beaches. Huge parking lots. To show you how big they are, let's zoom in, if I can. Whoops. All right, see all these huge parking lots here? You could put solar panels on all these huge parking lots at Jones Beach. All right, it's probably 100 probably 100 acres. There's lots of parking lots here. All right, you can put solar panels here. All right, you can put them here to generate electric. You can put them here, and there's even a power cable that actually goes right by these that they could probably attach to an underground power line. All right, so don't tell me we don't have places to put solar. All right, we have plenty of places to put solar. Here's a perfect example to put solar here. And we have parking lots here. We have parking lots here. Some of these are not even used parking lots. Some of them are not even used. So you could just put the solar panels there. And solar panels in a parking lot are great because you have a win-win situation where you have solar energy being produced and people's cars aren't broiling in the hot sun. So when you come back and your car is cool because it's been in the shade, it's protected from the sun and whatever weather may come along. All right, that's one place you could put them right there. And there's more there's so many places you could put them, Mr. Cuomo. So many places. So why do you want to knock down the woods to put solar panels? And it doesn't make sense. We have parking fields here at Robert Moses. We have parking fields here, all over the place. We have parking fields. All right, and at least Suffolk County has got the wherewithal, even though there's something Suffolk County that they're doing that I don't agree with. They have the wherewithal, at least in Suffolk County, to actually put solar panels in a lot of the Long Island Railroad parking lots, like here in Deer Park. See, this is what you could do here. This is what solar panels in a parking lot look like. This is a Deer Park Long Island Railroad station. All right, and just to show you what it looks like from the ground. This is what it looks like from the ground. All right. So this is what you could do at all the state parks and create solar energy, Mr. Cuomo. All right? If you really supported solar energy, you'd be doing this, but you're not. So as we conclude this video, I just want to point out what it would look like. This is according to the website, which is I'll put a link in the description of this video. This is what it's going to look like. So you're going to see the loss of all these woods right here knocked down for solar panels. And that's a substantial amount of woods. That's a substantial amount of woods. They could be built in so many places. There's no reason to be even touching one tree. Mr. Amper is right. And Governor Cuomo, I'll say, once again, you've managed to piss me off a great deal. You know, you keep trying, you keep trying to say you care about the environment, but time and time again, you're out to screw us. Time and time again, you're out to look for the rich people, all right? Time and time again, you've failed to do an adequate job protecting the Pine Barrens, all right? You've looked the other way when Ed Mangano ruined our bus service, and now you're also going to look the other way while this project is trying to be rammed through against the will of the people, against the Pine Barrens. And I'm sure that the Long Island Pine Barrens will sue to stop this project. And I'm going to continue to speak up against this project. We must stop this project and all the other projects in the Pine Barrens. Once the Pine Barrens are gone, they are gone. We have to stop the destruction now. Thank you for watching.